Hello and welcome to Hello Yellow. Today I'm delighted to have our special guest, Katherine Persoglia, who started a very interesting property/finance/mortgage business called Property Before Prada. Please join me in welcoming Kath to the program. Thank you so much for coming along today.
Vivian, thank you for having me.
Now, when I heard your name come through my social networks, the name of your business rather, I said, I have to meet this woman because she gets women. The Prada handbag, we all love our beautiful, brand accessories. But when it comes to buying a house, that's a little bit different, isn't it?
It is a bit different and it's so daunting. And I feel like we live in an environment where everything is just so instant,
Yes.
Instant gratification. We can go out shopping and buy the bag and we feel amazing. But there is
We really do, though.
Yeah, we do. We love it. But I feel like there's so much more opportunities for women of any age to get really educated. And it's okay to have those beautiful bags. Like, we do love them. But why don't you look at investing and, look at things like building your wealth and being financially independent before you invest in those luxury designer items. And I felt that there was a real gap and a need in the market just to help women, show them how they could actually do it.
And how can we do both, though? This is the thing. I'm seeing your beautiful earrings, they're gorgeous. Yeah. Can we do both?
Absolutely. And I don't think that you can, it's right to say it's one or the other. For me, it was just, one was before the other. So yes, I have the beautiful handbags and shoes and I do love those things, but I got them and I purchased things in a certain way and I had certain priorities, which has helped me in life, to where I am financially, by having those things in that particular order. And it's not to say, well, you can't have it. It's like, if you can work on a few basics first in terms of your own financial fitness, your financial health, you can have as much Prada, as you like down the track. So it is all about, for me, priorities. And that for me is being financially literate, being financially stable, being financially independent has always been really important to me as my key.
So obviously you started this business, was it 21 years ago?
Yeah, yes.
Was there a reason behind your passion for this particular business?
Yeah, so first of all, I fell into it. So I did not finish school. Right. I was, my children now know I did not finish school, which that's really hard. I think they heard that on a podcast. I'm like, Mum. I'm like, no. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't finish school. I've always been like a go-getter. I really wanted to do big things at a very young age. Always loved having, my hands in 5 different pies and making money and so forth. And when I was looking to buy my second property, I went to my mortgage broker and we had the discussion. I was like, well, I think I need to buy a business as well. And he said, look, Kath, why don't you get into mortgage broking? So I started off my journey. I failed math. So it's not like I went to school and I studied and I did a business degree that was not me. Excel and I hate each other.
Yeah, I still have challenges with that whole merge of cells thing.
Yes, that's not me. But what I do love is property. I've always loved it. And I love being financially independent. And when the opportunity was presented to me, I was shocked thinking, well, can I do this? And I went for it. And 21 years later, so I started off at Aussie Mortgage Mart. Yes. And then I just went through and it's actually 5 years ago that I rebranded to Property Before Prada. So I had my existing business and I thought I've got a message and I feel like I can really communicate and engage with other young women and tell a story and give them some real power that they can do this too.
Yeah, and I think, I was just saying off camera, I connected with you through a girlfriend who was going through a separation where she was heavily reliant, which is often the case, heavily reliant on her husband. He was the breadwinner, then, they separated, and she found herself looking to want to secure her family, 2 children, and found it incredibly difficult because she didn't have any real financial history independent of her husband. And and when she told me about all of the hardship she was going, it was quite embarrassing. And it is one of those things where if you have to reflect on your finances, it can be incredibly difficult to be honest with yourself about how you're spending money. And for her, it was difficult for her and really emotional to not be able to put a roof over her head and the heads of her children. And she came to you, and you changed her whole life with that. And are you finding that that's one of the unique components of your business?
Oh, look, absolutely. This is something that is so common. We help so many women that have been in that situation where they've been married for 20 years, they've been looking after their children, they've taken a step back from their career, they've taken that position, they're not been earning their own income, and all of a sudden they're now divorced or they're separated. So not only do they have to find a new place to live, they've now got to re-educate themselves. They have got to get back into the workforce, and they are making decisions that they've never had to make.
It's really hard. It's incredibly hard.
And not only that, you touched on it just a moment ago, there's shame, there's guilt, there's all these emotions that are running through them. And it's a really hard task for them to build themselves back up emotionally, and then they've got to look at the finances. They haven't been used to working full-time and doing drop-off and pick-ups. They haven't had that juggle, but now they've got the juggle financially to put a roof over their children's head, and they've got to rebuild and re-educate and get back into the workforce and juggle. Like, where do they start? So that has been something that I've been seeing a lot of, especially in the past 10 years, and a lot of women have come to Property Before Prada and come to me for advice on how do they get back into the market. And it's actually understanding that it's not that difficult for us to put a plan into place and really help women. And last year we came out with a program called Rebuild, and that was all about helping women rebuild their life after divorce, separation, and even death.
Yeah.
And not knowing how to even pay the bills, and signing off on things that they didn't even know were legally binding, and putting them as directorships, and so many. There's so much around even financial abuse. And I believe that women really need to be financially literate in any relationship. Know where their money is. Speaking to from my experience when I was a young woman, I'm very passionate about women being financially independent, because I was trapped in a situation and I couldn't leave because I didn't have the money. And I know that if you've got financial freedom, or if you've got your own money, or if you've got financial literacy, you've got choice and you've got freedom. You don't have to stay in that situation. You can get out because you've got the money, whether it's job, income, savings, investments, whatever it is, you've got choice and freedom. And these women that have no understanding of where they are financially and have to keep checking in with their partner to know where they are, I believe it's really high risk.
And so even if people are in the most, loving of relationships, even if there aren't any real challenges, I mean, that's a lie. Every relationship has its challenges. Yeah, okay. But if they're not preparing for separation, what sort of advice would you give to someone, like if you could go back to your first, situation that, alerted you to, this particular circumstance? What advice would you be giving women to do, even in the most loving relationships?
I think you just need to get educated, and I feel like right now, understand savings, having emergency funds, and if that may be that you've got a separate account, it's not a runaway fund, it's an account that's there for emergencies. Being able to utilise things like that, and making sure, yes, you've got access to, your bank accounts can't just be cut off. You know what money is coming in, you know what money is going out. You've got full visibility of the family financial affairs. And I think that would be absolute key, is understanding, your family affairs when it comes to money. And further to that, get educated. We've got some amazing resources that around us for free that you can just start upskilling, whether or not it's podcasts or, I wish that I had upskilled myself that little bit more when I was younger in terms of educating myself on anything to do with investing and so forth. I think it's our responsibility. We can't just, palm it off and say, oh, my husband or my partner.
She'll be right.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that's good enough.
So what would you do, like technically speaking? I'm in a relationship. We've got all joint bank accounts. I have complete sign off on everything. He he's not interested. But when you say education, is it sitting down and budgeting together? I mean, talk us through some of those tips that you would.
Yeah. So like I'm in a loving relationship. I don't have a secret account, but I know where my money is. I know exactly what money is coming in. I know what is going out. I'm all across it, probably more so than my husband.
Yes.
But for me, that is your basic. Yes, you've got to do your budget. You've got to know if you're overspending. You need to know what you've got coming in and
really
going. And it's
interesting.
just basic. That is so basic.
But we don't do it. No. Why don't we do it?
I think, I think a lot of people just, put their hands into the, lap and go, I don't know, or, maybe it's too hard, or maybe it is embarrassing, or maybe they don't want to know.
Yeah.
So I think that, taking that back, I mean, for me, I need to know that. It gives me comfort at night. I can sleep. I know, I know what we can plan for the future. It helps me. I think that's just your basic foundations.
So if you're in a relationship, for those people who might be listening or watching, potentially where the female, or it could be the male, but there's a hierarchical disparity, do you have any advice about how people could best approach these conversations, whether, we're not suggesting that it's always the male that's more dominant, because we know that there's, the world is full of wonderfully different dynamic relationships. But how would you approach a relationship like that where it's not an equal balance? There may be a little bit of fear for one of the parties.
I would start off by saying to your partner, hey, I'm about to do this course, or I've been listening to this podcast. That is a great introduction to say to your partner, I'm upskilling, I'm learning this. Hey, I'd love a little bit more input or understand what we're doing together, and maybe we can make some plans. I've learnt this. What do you think? And start it being excited. So I never did anything with shares. So my husband was the one that, and this is probably a really good example of how to kind of bring it into the conversation if that's not your thing. So I've always been property. Love it, obsessed.
I love property too myself.
Absolutely love it. But what I haven't done is I've been so focused on property that I haven't looked at other opportunities to build wealth or to make money or invest better. But my husband has, so he's been on the other side doing shares. So, and he's done really well. So I went and got a little bit more educated in shares, and I come to him and I'm excited. We should be doing more of this. So if you come from a really good, positive frame of mind, hey, I've just learnt this. Can I be involved? What's our portfolio look like? Or can we start a portfolio? Or what do you think? So it's a positive, encouraging, conversation of something that you can do together. And, that's how I would approach it anyway.
And for women who are in a difficult relationship and thinking they need to frame themselves up for security for themselves, they may have children as well. Maybe it's beyond your remit, but what advice would you give to them who are in that situation and they want some financial security and a surety that when they do leave, they're going to be okay?
I think that takes quite a bit of planning, and a woman just doesn't wake up one day and leave. It is well thought out. It is absolutely, it's years in planning, and you know, especially if I look back at our rebuild program, that we were really looking at helping women in all different stages, whether or not they've separated, whether they think they're going to separate. But you need to get right advice from multiple different professionals. So yes, a mortgage broker can always be there to tell you what you need to do from a banking perspective, but you need to speak to like a financial planner, you need to speak to someone in family law. There are all these things that you need to be doing so that you're preparing yourself and you're getting the right advice from the right professionals, and that can be done as soon as you're ready to, think about, okay, well, if it does happen in a year's time, I need to be ready, I need to be prepared. But speak to professionals.
And with your rebuild program, what could people expect if they come to that platform?
It's an hour. It's a face-to-face. We did a full roadshow earlier this year. We'll be back up and doing them again next year. And it's 20 minutes on stage from 4 professionals, really giving, and it's quite targeted, although it's general advice, on anyone that has been or going through, separation or thinking about it from a legal perspective, from financial planning, from a life coach, and from a mortgage broker. So it's kind of that whole
very holistic
approach, and it's just thought-provoking to say, okay, these are some resources and some tools that you might be able to, use to help you over this next journey, which, it's not going to be easy, but if you speak to the right people and get the right advice up front, this may help you out.
So we've talked a lot about your fabulous business. So you've been doing that for 21 years.
Yes, 21 years.
What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about, there was obviously an opportunity that you mentioned earlier, it's like a light bulb went off, I've got to do this. So what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about doing something, starting their own business? What advice would you give, and what would you do differently?
Yeah, okay. So in my industry, I love it, and we don't have enough females. So putting my mortgage broker hat on and business owner, I think there's a great opportunity for women and young women to come into this industry. We've got an amazing set of skill sets like empathy and our attention to detail, so many things that we are now caring and loving nature, and we can relate really well with our clients, and that's why I love it. And I think there's a great opportunity for women to do big things in this space. Now, there is that connotation where women think you've got to be good at maths, you've got to have a business degree. It's too hard. You've got to have a finance background, you've got to work in a bank, and that's just not the case. We are problem solving, we are providing solutions to families, and it is so rewarding. I love it.
I can see it.
I love it. I love it. Well, I couldn't have been doing it for 21 years if I didn't like it. Right. Yes, it's stressful.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So how do you manage the stress though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's for another day. Yes, I take my clients to bed with me, basically.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Clothed or?
Yeah. My husband's like, oh my God, Kath, stop it. Fully clothed. Because I take on their pressure, their anxiety, and that's part of the job and it's part of the business. And we are working with something that is so important to people. It's, their dream home or whatever it may be. So it is very full on. So stress, I plough through things, unfortunately. I'm head down. I just want to get it done. And that's how I strive under pressure. I just need to sort things out and I keep going. There's no off button for me. But in this particular industry, there's great. It is hard work, but there's very big rewards.
And what are those rewards?
Well, building a big business, and that's what I love. I love the business that I've built. I've got over 2,000 clients, loyal clients that I love, and I've been working with them for 20 years. And that there is so rewarding. Seeing their journey and so forth. So for me, that sense of fulfillment is amazing. And
what would you say to somebody, because I do recall the conversation I had with my girlfriend when she was talking about you, and she'd been going through different mortgage, and the girls were all on our WhatsApp going, does anyone know, blah, 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 help, and there was a conversation that went, it's so embarrassing having someone go through my whole credit card statements and seeing money being, and that, looking at how the dinner's out, the bags, the this, the that, the holidays. What advice would you give to somebody who just feels that sense of shame and, a little bit embarrassed about going through all those financial bits?
Just don't. Like, don't feel embarrassed.
Just get it done.
Yeah, just don't.
Yeah.
Look, if you do want to make some changes before you go to the bank, absolutely. I would always say that if you're about to go for a home loan, just check in with your, how you're spending your money. Like, definitely. If you need finance and you've got to hand over those statements, don't be embarrassed. Like, you might be mortified, but we're not. We deal with people's bank statements all the time.
Is it a bit like going and having that sort of yearly checkup? You just get it done.
Get it done. You have to. It doesn't matter.
It's embarrassing. The doctor's seen many of these things.
We're not going to judge you, okay? It's fine, okay? So no, don't be embarrassed. And don't let that stop you. And that's the biggest thing. People are worried about that, about putting forth their financial position because they are embarrassed. But just get over yourself. And I say that with love.
Yeah.
And get that help and let someone guide you. You will absolutely benefit, but do not let that stop you from doing anything.
So what's on the cards for you next? Obviously with businesses, they're always iterating and changing. So what exciting things have you got coming up within your business?
Oh, so much. I love keeping busy. I launched a new business earlier this year, and again, it's within the broking world because I love it. But this time I'm supporting people just like me, mortgage brokers. So I built, I can't believe I'm saying this, I built a tech program.
Amazing.
If you asked me if I could have built this 12 months ago, I'd be like...
me. Tech scares me.
I'm not a techie person, but I'm definitely an expert in the realm of mortgage broking. So I got a mentor and I upskilled. It's like you can't teach a dog new tricks. I'm like, yeah, well, you certainly can. And I learned all this side of tech that I never thought I'd be having the conversations that I'm having right now. And I built a Bible. It's called the Broker's Bible, the go-to ultimate guide for mortgage brokers to get answers to help their clients' scenarios within minutes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So good. So, this program is all about finding your golden opportunity through adversity. And from sitting with you for the last little while, see, you don't sit in adversity. You are comfortable with the uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm going to learn because I need to, and then keep moving forward. And I think that's just such a lovely breath of fresh air. We've had so many different people on this program that, very much lament, the challenging environments. But I feel like you take it all in your stride, and your energy is just so infectious. It makes me want to go and study finance. No, that's not true at all. I've had to go and do that with my own businesses, and it was really uncomfortable. But I think arming yourself with the things, sometimes the things you just are fearful of, is actually then, it creates so much more, opportunity, for want of a better word, and giving you, a broader horizon within your business, because you didn't want to do tech just as I don't want to do finance, but you sit in it, you do it, you learn, and then you just actually feel really quite empowered.
I do. I'm sitting now and I'm having discussions using those acronyms that I didn't know. And for the first time, I'm absolutely very uncomfortable. It is, when you're top of your game and you know your shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm now talking to other people and they are so much smarter than me in that field. And it is very uncomfortable. And it's not a nice feeling, but that's when you grow. And I've been very, very uncomfortable this year. But I also like to keep growing and use what I've got, my knowledge, my skill set, for the good, and create something that I think is really going to benefit others. But very uncomfortable year for me.
What's the motto you live by?
Treat others how you'd like to be treated.
I love it. So, Kath, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that I am going to be successful.
Yay!
And yeah, keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going. Listen to your gut and trust yourself.
Where does your energy come from?
I actually had this conversation with my parents just in the back of the car yesterday.
Where does it come from? It's just amazing. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm very full on. I just do not stop. I have to have 5 things going on at the same time. I I don't know.
You don't
It's
know.
just always been me. I'm very, very, it's just who I am. And I feel like I function so much better when I've got 5 things on versus 1. I feel like I get a little bit lost.
Yeah, well, the energy creates energy, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I understand that. I'm the same. I hate the word busy, but I'm a highly dynamic, agile human. I've always got lots of things on.
But I feel like I'm getting the best out of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm contributing so much better into different projects or in, to different things that I do in the broking world. And even, there is that balance where I come down really hard on myself because being a mum and running a couple of businesses, something's got to give. And I feel like that there is so much pressure, and I know that I create pressure on myself. And before children, it could be go, go, go. And that was great. But when kids come into play, having that same level of expectation in delivering that same service or that same quality, something's got to give. And I feel like in the past couple of years in particular, I've had to learn that I'm not going to be perfect at everything and being happy with that. And that's been a very big eye-opener, and me having to accept that I'm not perfect. I can't be perfect at business and be a perfect mum. Or I can't be a perfect mum and then, I've learnt that things will be going great with family, but I'm letting some things slip with business. And I've got to be okay with that. And that's something that has taken me quite a few years to really just be okay with it.
And I think, people, I believe that you're not busy for the sake of being busy. A lot of people will say, you're busy for avoidance of what have you. What you've got is the benefit of wisdom, hindsight, experience, that you're busy but with the right sorts of projects. So you're not just doing things for the sake of. You understand what your motivational drivers are and can understand what's ensuring that you're doing this, this and this. And when you are time poor, it makes you very, very efficient at making the right decisions for different projects too. So
absolutely, and I think there's always intention. And I start my year out with vision board and planning, and it's on my screensaver. I know what I want, and I really also try and encourage my children to think like that and visualize. But there's not, I'm not doing anything for the sake of doing it.
Yeah. And that's the real key. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Your energy is so infectious. And if people want to come and meet with you and get their mortgages sorted or whatever their financial dreams are, how do they get in touch with you?
Instagram at Property Before Prada and the Broker's Bible website. I'm there. My team, I've got a fantastic team. We serve anyone throughout Australia. Would love to assist them.
Well, I'll be giving you a call very soon. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.